Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tab. I'm glad you made it today. I wanted to talk about secondary claims and increase claims. So we all know about the service-connected condition, filing a claim for that one thing that really bothered you, whether it's your knee, your back, maybe you have PTSD, whatever your initial claim is or was, is your service-connected claim. And we've all talked about the different things that you need to make that happen. Now, the basics to me are you need to have active duty time, you need to have a diagnosed condition that has chronic or residual effects, and you need to have a nexus, the link between the condition itself and your time in service. The VA is really looking for, show me that it started in your time in service, right, is what they're looking for. Now, there's always caveats to that or exceptions to the rule, like presumptives. So presumptive conditions allow you to basically bypass the nexus because the VA concedes that the condition on the presumptive list actually could result later on in life, but be due to something that you may have experienced during your military time, such as Agent Orange or burn pits or what have you. So let's move past that and let's talk about increasing your rating, okay? Now, everybody knows, or most people know, their VA has the sliding scale of percentages, and it goes in 10% increments, 10, 20, 30, 40, and up. And each one of those has a designated dollar figure. Now, that designated dollar figure for the first two, 10% and 20%, are only for the veteran solely. There's no additional bumps in the amount of compensation that's paid. Once you move into the 30% range and up, you can add a spouse, dependent children's, dependent parents, and so forth into the compensation calculation. For this purpose, I am only going to say that we have a veteran who's not married with no children, just to use easy numbers and make it simple. And starting at, we'll just start at the 20%. At 20% rating, you have $327. I'm going to leave the change off. And what's really important to understand is if you got into the VA system with your back issue, you have some sort of a lumbar strain or degenerative disc disease or whatever it may be, now all of a sudden you have a 10 or a 20% rating for that lower back issue. Okay, now let's say that's the only thing you have. You're at 20%, you have your 327 per month, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, this is pretty great. You know, it sucks that my back is messed up, but you know what? I'm being compensated. I can go to the VA for medical care, and you know what? That 327 is taking care of this bill and that bill for me and makes my life a little bit easier. That's awesome. But now as you sit back and you reflect and you're watching videos like this or other people's, doesn't really matter, and get the information from somewhere, you start to open up your eyes to other opportunities such as increases and secondary conditions. Okay, so for some cases, somebody may have went to the VA and they got rated as 0% for that back issue, and over time that condition got worse. Over time, that condition got worse, and you went back and you filed for an increase, basically telling the VA, hey, look, I know I have this 0% connected condition, but it's gotten worse. And you have some medical evidence that you put in with it. They send you to a CMP. They do your range of motion stuff, and sure enough, you come out at a 20%. That's fantastic because now you're going from a zero compensation to this $327 overnight. Well, it takes months and months, but you get the picture. So that's a fantastic option for folks, is to utilize the ability to file for increases. Nobody knows you better than you. So you know if your condition has gotten worse. Now, I will say that some people out there worry about going the other way. Maybe I have a specific rating that is at whatever percentage, and I'm worried that if I file a claim for an increase, I might actually get decreased. This goes back to you have to know you better than anybody. And if you know that your condition has gotten worse, not better, you're probably going to be in a good position. And number two, do your own due diligence. The VA's playbook is at your fingertips. I've done videos on this. It's called the Schedule of Ratings. You should absolutely read the Schedule of Ratings for your specific condition. And when you read the schedule of ratings for your specific condition, it will outline the condition itself, and then it will give signs and symptoms and durations and whatever, range of motions, whatever it is regarding your condition. And you can read it and you can go, yes, I meet all of those, or no, I don't meet all of those for that assigned percentage, and so forth. And if you meet everything that it's looking for a higher percentage, then by all means, you absolutely should file for an increase, because you know it got worse and you're reading the schedule of ratings, which shows you that you actually do qualify for a higher rating. Same thing with secondary conditions. These are often missed and forgotten. And in some cases, it's not even because we do it on purpose. It's because we don't really take the time to really think it through, right? A lower back problem, right? Somebody could describe their lower back problem to me as, oh yeah, it's really bad. It's like the pain is like an upside down T. It's like shooting into my hips and kind of, if I sit too long, my legs kind of start going numb. And, I have a hard time, falling asleep or staying asleep because of my back problem. And, I even probably got some arthritis in there because it really seems to, just cinch up on me. And we talk about all these things, and then we file for a lower back issue. And the VA comes back with a lower back rating. Now, the reality is that you could do one of two things. Either A, file for a bunch of things at once, or let's say that none of those other things existed at the beginning. It was just simply the lower back issue. Have some lower back problems. It's not, it doesn't really affect anything else. Then what happens is over time, it migrates into other parts of your body, down your legs. It's hard to sleep. You feel like you got some arthritis starting to kind of just get in there and tie everything together. Go get checked for those additional things, because those are secondary conditions. So my lower back issue, which we'll just call it a lumbar issue, whatever, lumbar strain or something. So you have that condition. That's your service-connected condition. A few years go by. Now it's gotten worse. You go and you get checked. You have some arthritis starting to be detected in there. Okay? Now you got a secondary claim for arthritis. Let's say you have some radiculopathy going down your left and right leg. Well, now you have that for both sides, 1 and 2, which could be rated 10 or 20% depending. So now you have a couple more secondary claims. Then you go to a doctor and you say, hey, look, doc, I don't have a problem falling asleep. I have a problem staying asleep because of my back issue. It keeps me up. I can't sleep. Now you have insomnia due to your back issue. So that is a potential way to do these secondary claims. And that could take you from, I'll use myself as an example. So I have what's called ankylosing spondylitis. It's an arthritis in my back, and they detected it in there. I also have a back issue. So I have my back issue, like a lumbar strain. I have the arthritis. I have radiculopathy going down both legs, and I don't sleep good. So I think my back is rated at 10%. So I have a 10% rating for my back. Then I have a 10% for each leg, 10 and 10. I have a 40 for arthritis, and I have a 30 for insomnia. So you can see the difference between the two, right? Do you just want a 10 or a 20% and just call it a back issue and just say that my back issue causes all these things and just live with that 10 or 20% rating? Or do you take those other things that it's affecting and put those in as secondaries, right? So here's the magic of all this. So once you start to increase your percentage, additional money starts to flow in. As you get that additional money, moving from a 20% to a 30% takes you from $327 to $508. Now, in my opinion, just to run through the numbers, right? 40% is $731. 50%, I wrote them down so I don't forget, is $1,041. 60% is $1,319. 70% is $1,663. 70% is $1,933. 90% is $2,172. And 100% is $3,621. My suggestion, right, I'm not a financial advisor, but my suggestion is invest some of every increase. So every increase, that, unless you absolutely need it to live, obviously, but if you're surviving and living and doing okay without the increase, then when you do get an increase, figure out what's right for you and your family. Now, the numbers I gave you are for a veteran alone. You may have a wife, kids, those numbers would be higher. The bottom line is that if you have the ability to invest some of it, you're going to be in a way better position later. For example, if you're 30, 35, 40 years old, you still got a lot of time till the finish line. So invest what you can now, putting 50% of any increase into something else, into an investment account, whether it's a brokerage like Fidelity or Charles Schwab, Vanguard, something like that. Or if you wanted to invest in other things, or if you're tech savvy on your phone, you could do like Robinhood investing app, any of these types of things to diversify your portfolio a little bit and put a little more money into some investment for whatever is right for you, risk levels, tolerance, all of that. Because here's the reality. None of us are getting any younger. And even if you're able to work today, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to work tomorrow, and the tomorrow is years down the road tomorrow, right? So the more that we can do today to position ourselves to have a more fruitful end, the better, right? The faster, there's two ways to retirement in my mind, and really one is have a bunch of money saved up, or two is to have zero bills, and then there's the happy median, right? There's something in between. Save what you can and try to have no bills, and you can get to that point of retirement. Now, moving to that 100% rating, and I did a video on this yesterday, moving to that 100% rating is literally like having $1 million in the bank, and you are drawing down the interest every month. So you're not compounding interest, it's interest at 5.7% per year. On $1 million is, basically, it's a grossed up version of the 100% rate. So you have a tremendous opportunity to set yourself up for success in the future, your family, maybe even leave a family legacy, right? Leave a little nest egg for the grandkids or your children or whatever. The bottom line is that be smart with the money that we get, and the more that you can do with it, the better. Make your money work for you, right? Anyway, with that, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate all of your support, the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the good ones and the bad ones. I appreciate the interaction. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.